Sandra. I hope that you are having a clawsome day. And if you're watching the video version, then you can tell that we have a little bit of a party going on the Parrot podcast today. I'm super excited. Today is a solo episode, so it's going to be just me. And it's long overdue. I've been meaning to do this for a really long time, but we've had so many awesome guests on the show, and we have so many more awesome guests that are going to be on the show and coming onto the show, and episodes that are coming out that I'm just so excited to share them with you. We are learning and growing as parents and parrot lovers together through the podcast, and I've just been really excited about that. If you haven't noticed, we also have new intro music, and it's Parrot Podcast intro music. So I love it. I'm really excited about our new intro music. I hope that you are too. And we also have a little bit of an updated setup. I've changed things up for Mia and made it more vibey. So lots of exciting stuff. We recently also ordered a ton of Sola stuff. So Sola is like this soft wood, and there's a lot of parrot toys that use Sola wood, and they come in different shapes and sizes. And we ordered a ton of Sola sticks because Mia just loves Sola sticks. And I love that she loves to destroy them because I know that she's getting that like enrichment and mental stimulation, and she's keeping occupied with something, and she's keeping her beak busy. So I love seeing her enjoy a toy. So I stocked up and I got 2 bags of Sola sticks. I also ordered her some different styled Sola balls. They also have Sola shaped flowers. So we got roses, we got daisies, and we got sunflowers Sola shaped. You can actually see them all. So we got a bunch of Sola stuff, and thanks to the Parrot Shop in Canada because they also sent us some extras. So we were really excited about that. I also got Mia a little handmade or custom made wooden sign for her cage. So that's really exciting and cute. And I am also thinking about exploring getting some more products added to our store. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited to share those products once they're ready with you. So, yeah, lots of great stuff. What else has been going on? In May, Mia turned 3 years old. So happy birthday to Mia a month later, but nonetheless. And I'm also super excited because we are finally revisiting harness training. And Aviator Harness sent us a couple of harnesses. So the first thing that I've been doing, and you can already see that Mia is feeling quite comfortable with the harness, is I've just been exposing her to it. I've been letting her see it, letting it be around her. I let her nibble on it if she'd like to explore with it. Or sometimes if she's just sitting on my hand, I'll hold the harness at the same time so that she can explore and realize that it's not something scary. It's not something that's going to hurt her. I also wanted to make sure that she liked the color, and we got a pink one. We also have a blue one, and she seems to be okay with the colors because sometimes birds can be funny with colors. So I've just been making sure that whenever Mia's around the harness, that she's feeling comfortable, and I've just been exposing her to it right now before we get into training. I do have to watch a bunch of harness training videos, so I'm going to definitely do that. I know that Flock Talks has a really great video. Of course, the Parrot Wizard from All Trained Parrots YouTube channel also has some great videos and on harness training. So we are definitely going to be getting into that. And I'm so excited to get Mia eventually into this cute harness because not only is it such a girly girl color, but on top of that, I'm just really excited to take her on adventures and take her outdoors places. So I think that that will be really fun. Now, I also wanted to answer some questions. So I collected a bunch of questions that I got on Instagram and on YouTube and over email. And I'm going to answer some of these questions and do a quick Q&A for you guys. So Here is a question that I got from Rizzy. What country would Mia want to travel to? And what a perfect question right after talking about harness training, because of course I'd love to get her harness trained so that we can travel and she can, oh, sorry, Mia, go places with us, not being in her carrier backpack and being able to just like enjoy everything. But I know that desensitization is also really important. Anyways, I'm trailing off as always. So, what country would Mia want to travel to? I think that Mia would want to travel somewhere in the Med, like Italy, Spain, Greece, because I think she would just love to be like by the water. She's a little bit of an ocean girl with her ocean name. Mia means goddess of the ocean or something like that. And she was actually born near the sea in Poland. So, yeah, I think she'd want to go somewhere to be near the sea in the Med. And to be honest, me too. I'd love to be in the Med right now. Another question we got was how old was Mia when you got her? So Mia was about 4, maybe closer to 4 months old when we got her. And we had picked her out with a breeder that we were getting her from at the time that we were getting her. And we were just waiting until she was fully weaned and got all of her paperwork and all those different things. So when she was ready to come home, she was around 4 months old. From the same person, Kiwi and Tika, what is Mia's favorite treat, favorite fruit, and veggie? So, Mia's favorite treat would probably have to be walnuts and pine nuts. Those are definitely her tops. She loves them. Favorite fruit and fruit she will do anything for. The first thing that comes to mind is blueberries and then banana. She loves blueberries and bananas. But with that being said, she is a sweet beak, so she loves fruit pomegranate, mango, melon, kiwi, strawberries, you name it. Especially if it's tropical fruits or berries, she absolutely loves that. And veggies, her favorite veggie has to be red peppers. She loves red peppers and green peas, but green peas are also like a sweeter veggie, and I think she loves that they're like round and like similar to blueberries. So, yeah, those are definitely her favorites, but of course, we want her eating all of her veggies. Yesterday, she enjoyed some carrot and some zucchini. So, she's a pretty good eater, but sometimes she can also be a picky eater. Next question from Ming Lee. Where did you get your Montana cage? Couldn't find it in the US, especially your color. Okay, so I get asked this question all of the time, and I actually recently had Jamie from Bird Tricks reach out to me and say, someone is asking about your cage on our store. Do you know what they're talking about? So our cage is from Montana Cages, and we purchased it from Parrot Planet, and they are a Poland-based Parrot online store. So they only ship within Poland. And our Montana cage is the Madeira, but like the bigger version. I think it's the 2 and it's the light color. So they do come in, I think, 2 or 3 different colors. And ours is like a really light gray. It's a really nice big size for Mia or for any conure. And she really loves this cage. I love it. I love how much space she has in it and how much I can do with it and create lots of fun foraging opportunities and things like that. So in the US, I'm not really sure where you can get it. I know that in Europe, there are quite a few different online parrot stores that do sell them. There's one in Germany, but I can't remember the name. I know that Northern Parrots in the UK, I don't think they sell Montana cages, but they sell other cages that are also similar and good quality as well. If you can't find a Montana cage, you could look up A&E cages, or you could also look up King's Cages. I believe that they do have a US store. So those brands are all good brands. They think of your bird in mind. The material is sturdy, the material is safe. Make sure you're checking the bar spacing and things like that. But Yeah, you usually need to find these really good quality cages from online parrot stores that are selling them. So in Canada, I know the parrot shop where we got all our Solus stuff from, they do sell cages. They don't have Montana cages, but they have some other brands and some pretty decent options. But yeah, I think it's just finding the right online store for you and in your region and in your country and what they'll have available to you. Okay, next question. Do you and Mia have a morning and evening routine? Yes, we sure do. I think that everybody with birds or pets or kids has an evening and morning routine. Her sleep routine, I guess, is where I should start with. So she goes to bed from 9 to 9. That is her sleep routine. 9 to 9. Sometimes it might be 9:30 to 9:30 or 8:45 to 8:45, but it's generally around that. And sometimes she'll get a little bit more sleep than usual, especially during hormones. I like to have her sleep routine be 13 hours during hormone season. But yeah, our evening routine is just in the evening, we hang out with each other and we kind of wind down. She hangs out with me. I clean out her cage. I clean up all of her bird stations. Lambo gets his last walk of the day and all that fun stuff. And then I switch out her water. I put her to bed. She's got a blackout curtain as well in her room. So I close that and I make sure, we have a nice moment before she goes to bed as well. Sometimes I'll sing her our good night song. She really loves the happy birthday song, but the good night version. So I made a good night version and it's like, happy good night to you. Happy good night to you. So you can try that with your bird. There's also happy sweet dreams to you. So that is something that we do before she goes to bed. And then in the morning, I get her up. I'm usually on my second coffee at that point, and I just get everything ready for Lambo and Mia for the day. Her salad, fresh water. Lambo gets supplements plus his morning walk. Mia gets up. I uncover her, let her out, and we just get the day started. And that's our routine in a nutshell. I also got another question from somebody on YouTube asking how many hours can I leave my bird alone? So with birds, I get this question all of the time, especially with someone who's thinking about getting birds and they work full time, or they're a couple and they both work full time and they commute, or people who are in school. And I think it just really depends on your individual situation. Now, I wouldn't want to leave Mia or any bird for say 8, 9, 10 hours a day, especially if it's a solo bird from Monday to Friday. That's just something that I feel like I couldn't do. And I don't think that the bird would be living its best life as well. I understand that some people have to do it, and that's some people's situation. And it's better for the bird to be in a good home with somebody who, has to commute Monday to Friday, but spends all their other time with them. And that's totally fine. And, like I said, everybody has a different situation. And I think it's just up to you. But I wouldn't want to leave the bird for longer than a few hours. And, if you work part-time or you're in school and you come between your classes to check on your bird or hang out with your bird, or if there's someone else at home, or if your spouse works from home, so they're home. So I think it's just really depends on the individual situation. But I mean, like if you need to go out for a couple of hours or you need to do like a 1 day road trip because you have some things to take care of in another city or something of that sort, then I think it's totally fine as long as, set up a pet cam so that you can check in and make sure everything's good. Make sure that there's somebody else that has the key in case they need to come in and help your bird because you've noticed something on the pet cam, or to check in on your bird. Also make sure that they have fresh food or pellets, they've got clean water, and create an enriching and fun foraging environment and activities for them in their cage when you're leaving, especially like if you are commuting to work and say you have like an 8-hour day, or you're going to school and you're going to be gone for 6, 7, 8 hours. Then just make sure that your bird has a lot of things to do. They've got a nice big space, create foraging opportunities, make sure that it's enriching. I also like to put on like meditation, spa, forest, waterfall, like type of music on YouTube when I'm going to be gone for a few hours, just so that Mia has some like background noise and I feel like it makes her calmer and more chilled out. But you also want to make sure that your bird is quite independent and they play with the toys that they have in their cage. They like them. Everything is safe for them. They're not going to get, stuck on something, or like there's dangerous hooks in bells and things like that in their cage. So I think that it is okay to leave your bird for X amount of hours, but I think it just depends on the situation. And I think that it's also important just to set your bird up for success. If, you have to be gone for the whole day, or if you being gone for the whole day is a regular thing, then I think you just need to assess and think about, is this going to be a good life for this bird? So, yeah, I hope that that answers that question. I also had another question from someone saying on Instagram via DMs. Hi, I was wondering how often you swap around toys and what your recommendation would be. And do you keep offering toys in rotation if they don't like them? So I swap toys about once a week. And if things are really crazy and really hectic, then it might stretch to like 10 days or 2 weeks. But I never go more than like 2 weeks without doing like a full rotation of all of her toys and all of her different things. With that being said, as you can see, if you're watching the video version behind me, she has this whole extravagant setup, and she has a few of those in every room. So she does have her bird stations as well. And because me and my husband are both home all of the time, I'm able to provide a lot of out of the cage time for her. So she's out of the cage a lot. So if I don't rotate those toys that week, that's okay because she's not in there all of the time. And she also really loves her cage. And sometimes she goes in there on her own with the door open, or if she wants to munch on some pellets or get a drink of water or go take a nap, sometimes she'll just fly in there on her own. And I think that that's also a really good positive sign when your bird wants to be in their cage and they like their cage and they view it as like their space, their bedroom. And I think it's important for them to be able to have that. So, yeah, I rotate toys frequently or regularly, I guess I should say, weekly or bi-weekly, just depending on what's going on in life and my schedule. I used to do it every single week, but sometimes things get crazy and sometimes life gets crazy. So, don't beat yourself up if you can't do it every single week, but we want to keep them enriched and mentally stimulated and keep things interesting and fun, and we don't want them to get bored. So I think it is important to rotate toys and get more toys every so often, because when we're also rotating all of the same toys, then that can get boring as well. And that's why we talk about on the podcast and in our videos a lot that there are expenses when it comes to having a parrot. There are even monthly expenses. You need to buy toys and things that run out, like pellets and nuts and seeds and treats and foraging blends and avian teas and fresh food and toys and sola sticks and perches and all these things. And, you don't get everything at once. You get several different things. And then over time, you just keep adding and adding and adding. But yeah, I find that for me, we are regularly buying toys or sola sticks or something, or new purchase or something for Mia. So Yeah, I think it's also a good idea to have different toys to rotate and also pay attention to the types of toys that your bird likes so that you're getting toys that they actually like to play with and destroy and have fun with. So, for example, Mango, our sun conure, he always loves like wooden toys or like the toys that have those circle, like wooden beads. He loves to destroy those and just destroy them and take them apart. But Mia has never really been keen on wooden toys. So she's more into the soft toys, like the Planet Pleasures toys that are nice and soft, or like cork that she can destroy, sola wood, balsa wood, anything that's like a soft wood. She's all about it. Or she likes the toys that have that like shreddy paper that she can like pull out. She just has such a blast. I have this like it's kind of like a jute rope or sisal rope ball, and inside you can stuff the shredded paper. And when you order them, they come with that shredded paper, and she loves to just pull all of that out and go to town. And anything that's just a soft wood, she enjoys that. So I know that if I get those types of toys, that they're not going to go to waste. The money's not going to go to waste, and she's going to be enriched and have lots of fun. So that's another tip when it comes to toys. And if they don't like them, then what you could do is create something fun. So sometimes if Mia doesn't like a toy or she's not keen on it, I try 2, 3, 4 times because birds are funny. Sometimes they don't like something the first time or the second time. It's the same thing when they're trying new vegetables or new healthy foods. Sometimes you have to try more than once. And what you could do is take that toy apart and use the toy parts for like foraging or like foraging trays and putting all these scattered pieces of toy bits where they have to look through to get to all the good stuff. So you can use them in foraging trays or like a foraging egg carton where you put treats or different dry foods in the holes and then you put something on top. So you could put those toy bits on top to actually use those toys. Or what you could do is put things inside of the toy or hide nuts if it has little crevices or anything like that to make it a foraging opportunity and make it fun and exciting that way. So even if they're not destroying the toy, they're using it some way and you're able to create a foraging opportunity that's also going to be enriching for them. I have 3 more things that I wanted to chat about, but don't forget to follow us on Instagram at the Parrot Podcast and check out poodlesandparrots.com for our fresh new blogs, products in our store, ebooks, and all that fun stuff. I think I'm going to do an ebook giveaway of our parrot nutrition meal plan and guide very soon. So stay tuned for that and make sure you follow us on Instagram. The other thing I wanted to chat about is Mia's leg band or her bracelet. I've been getting a lot of questions and comments on Instagram, especially about the leg band and why do birds have leg bands? What does it mean? Birds that are captive bred birds will have a leg band on one of their legs, and this is used for identification. So it's their form of ID and it would match the number on their paperwork. So this is to identify that this bird is indeed this bird and it belongs to this person. So the leg bands are a form of ID. If a bird doesn't have a leg band, then they should have a microchip. So microchip and leg bands are the way that we identify the bird and whose bird it is. And so that's why they have leg bands. We do have to be careful with them because you don't want a bird to have a leg band that's too big or too small because it can cause fractures in their legs or accidents and things like that. So you just want to make sure that it isn't too tight or too big. And usually, if you're going to a reputable breeder or you're getting your bird from a really good place, or even from a rescue or an adoption, just ensure that they have that ID. And if it's a good reputable breeder, then make sure that it's the right size and it's not too big or too small. And you just want to check for that. You can always check with your vet, but it's not something that's taken off or put in on and off. It's something that's put in on when the bird is a baby and it just stays on. So that is the purpose of that and why they have them. Next, I wanted to talk about airlines that allow birds and a little bit of information on travel when it comes to parrots, because I've seen some reels and YouTube shorts of somebody having their bird in cabin, and a lot of people were asking questions in the comments saying, how do I fly with my bird? How do I do this? Which airline is it? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to very quickly go over this. You can also check out episode 19, where we talked with Anna, who has a sun conure named Papush, and they have traveled the world. Her bird, her sun conure, is not only harness trained, but has also traveled across Europe, across North America. They've done international travel. They've done domestic travel by plane. They've also, taken the train and the car and all that good stuff. So she is very well traveled with her bird, and I do encourage you to check out that episode. I also have a video on YouTube on all the things that you need to do when you're preparing your pets for travel. We have actually not done international travel with a bird, but we have gone through the entire process. And so I wanted to debunk a few things from those videos that are going around. And one of those is that domestic travel in the US is a lot easier with birds. There's a lot more airlines that accept birds, like off the top of my head, Alaska Airlines, Delta, United, and there's a few more that allow birds in cabin to fly domestically within the US. They might even fly to Canada. But of course, there's also a lot of paperwork involved in traveling with a parrot. The first thing that you need is to have your bird's paperwork, where they came from, all of their information, and all of that. You also, for us, we also needed a vet certificate. So I would assume that most countries also need that. And then you need to contact the authorities. Usually it's CITES. You need CITES import, you need CITES export. Different authorities take care of that in different countries. In Canada, it's the CFIA. Um, it's different authorities, and it starts with CITES. Then you need vet certificates and all this other stuff. So it's not simple. Domestic is a lot easier than international. International, you need the CITES, you need the import, you need the export, you need the certificates of all kinds, and you have to time things out accordingly. There might also be quarantine before leaving the country, when arriving to the country, depending on the countries. So there's a lot that's involved with international travel with birds. Unfortunately, it's not very easy like it is with dogs or cats. And in Europe, there are two airlines that I found that allow birds, or sorry, I should say three airlines that allow birds to travel in cabin within Europe. One of those is Iberia. It's a Spanish airline, but they don't have a lot of flights. And when I was actually looking at their flights, all of their flights have a layover in London, in Heathrow, or somewhere else in the UK. And you can't fly in and out with your parrot in cabin in the UK. So it just makes that not even an option, that airline, especially if you want to take your bird in cabin. I believe in cargo, it's an option, but I wouldn't want to put my bird in it. And now I've heard way too many stories that I would be nervous about it. But some birds and parents have done it, and their birds were totally fine. So again, it's also an individual situation, how desensitized your bird is and all that type of stuff. You always want to make sure of like the temperature being regulated and good air quality and all that type of stuff when you have a bird, especially if it's a small bird. I mean, big birds and small birds are sensitive just the same. So, yeah, with small birds, I just look at it like they're little babies. Another airline that allows birds on their flights, and I believe in cabin, but they only have flights within Europe, is Vueling. And the other one was Turkish Airlines. And some of the videos that I saw with people and their birds on an international flight in cabin was actually with Turkish Airlines. And what people don't realize is that Turkish Airlines only allows budgies, and I think it was canaries in cabin. Otherwise, you cannot bring your bird in cabin with Turkish Airlines. I mean, you can try and talk to Turkish Airlines if you have a bird that's similar in size to a budgie, perhaps a lovebird, and they might make an exception, but it is very hard. And then most airlines don't take birds. Those are the airlines that I know of that allow in cabin within the continent or within the country. So we're talking about Europe or like the States here. And when it comes to international, there are a handful of airlines that will allow your bird in cargo, but not in cabin. And one of those that I can tell you for certain is Air Canada. I believe they do allow in cargo. Another one that sometimes people mistake is Qatar Airlines. They they do state on their website that they allow birds in cargo, but they only allow hawks. And I'm like, who is traveling with a hawk? So, yeah, if you have a big bird of prey, then you can travel with Qatar and have your bird in cargo. So it's not easy. On top of that, there's also the bird influenza map, and you have to follow that. So if you are in an area where there is bird flu, then you're not going to get approval for the paperwork for export and import. So international travel with parrots is very difficult, and not every airline is very bird friendly. Actually, most airlines are not bird friendly. There is a handful of them that allow birds in cargo, and there's even fewer that allow them in cabin. And the ones that allow them in cabin, it's usually within the continent or within the country. International travel at this moment is very difficult with parrots. And after looking through literally all of the airlines, I can tell you that there is not one airline that I have found that allows birds in cabin for an international flight. I have emailed airlines. I have spoken with them through their chat on their website. So believe me, I have done my research on this, and it's very difficult, and there's not a lot of airlines that are open to it, but I hope that in the future there will be more. There are airlines that are private, like charter airlines, that will allow dogs to be, sitting with you right beside you or have their own seat. I believe they even allow cats. And when I was emailing and asking questions, there was a few that said yes, they would take birds or even snakes and reptiles as long as you have the correct paperwork. So if you want to fly in cabin internationally, the only option that I can offer to you at this time is flying private. And I think that in the future, more airlines are going to become more open to it. I've noticed that there's a lot more airlines nowadays that allow dogs or are making dogs a priority. So there's two airlines that I would like to mention. One of them is Bark, and they are a new airline that I've seen pop up. And I think that they're just in the States right now, but it's by Bark Box. That's why it's called Bark. And if you look them up, they're called Bark Airlines. And basically, they allow dogs and they cater to dogs. It's an airline that caters to dogs. So I love that. If you also were interested in this, Then I can also recommend K9 Jets. This is from their description on Instagram, the world's first pet dedicated pay per seat private jet service. So you can take your dog on there and it's pay per seat. And I also reached out to them and asked them if they would accept birds. So K9 Jets was one that said that if you have an international flight, as long as it's somewhere where they're flying to and from, and they fly out of and to New Jersey, USA, then they would take your bird as long as you have the correct paperwork. Now, into the USA, there is a 30-day quarantine for your bird at a specific quarantine facility. So this is something that you would also have to arrange if you chose to fly with K9 Jets. And there is a fee. I can't remember what the fee is, but it is a few hundred for the 30 days from what I can remember. But please look into it because these things change all of the time. They can change every few weeks, they can change every few months with airlines and restrictions and requirements for paperwork and all these different things. They are changing and sometimes they stay the same, sometimes they're not updated. So please, if you're thinking of traveling with your bird, whether it's domestic or international, make sure you do the research, contact all the right authorities, ask all the questions, get all the answers before you book anything because it can be a tedious process. It can be a long process. There are a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails to make when you're doing this. So that is that on airline travel, international and domestic. The other and last thing that I wanted to chat about, because I've been seeing this going around on social a lot more recently, is blow drying your bird. You do not need to blow dry your bird. Our birds are just fine to air dry. It's how they do it in the wild. And if your bird can get a little bit of sunlight, then that's even better. But you just want to let them air dry in like a room temperature environment. You just want it to be room temperature. You don't want it to be too cold. It doesn't need to be too hot. You don't need to blow dry them. It's just not good for them. And there are blow dryers that can have non-stick coatings, which hopefully by now we all know is really dangerous for our birds and it can be toxic to them and they can die. But that's something that we need to be aware of when it comes to blow dryers. But when it comes to blow drying birds, it's just something that we don't need to do. It's not necessary. Parrots should be naturally drying. Parrots are adapted to dry naturally, and they dry off by fluffing their feathers. They'll preen a little bit. They might bask in the sun. They would love that. And it's a natural process that just helps to maintain their feather health and their skin health. And the other thing that we need to be aware of is that parrots have very sensitive skin and feathers, and blow dryers can easily become too hot. It could easily burn their skin, cause skin irritation, even on a low setting. So the heat can be way too much for them, and it's something that we can easily avoid. And for some birds, it can be very stressful to hear the noise and feel the sensation of the blow dryer, of this air blowing at you that's really hot. So it's something that can be stressful for them. It can also cause feather damage because it can damage the structure of a parrot's feathers. The heat can cause feathers to become more brittle and lose their natural waterproofing and insulation properties. And then there's also powder and non-powder birds. And powder birds obviously produce a powder. Non-powder birds have a preen gland with these oils that they use to preen their feathers. Blow drying can strip these natural oils, leading to dry, brittle feathers and skin issues. And a blow dryer can also cause your bird to overheat. So it's just not the greatest idea. Let's not blow dry our birds. Let's let them air dry. If you can offer them some sunshine, especially during the summer months, or you live in a sunshiny place, then that is a better option. But air drying indoors in room temperature is just fine. And our birds are adapted to be able to do that. And that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you have a fantastic day. And we'll see you in the next episode, which I'm super stoked about. Get excited. I'm going to drop a hint. We're going to have our first avian vet on the podcast. So I'm just so excited to share this episode with you. I learned so much, and it's such an informative and great episode that is coming up. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next episode. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. I'm not a licensed avian vet, behaviorist, or professional expert in parrots. The information provided is not intended as a substitute for professional advice from a qualified avian vet, trainer, or behaviorist. Please consult with a specialist for personalized guidance on your specific situation.